Dear friends, let's continue to learn Earth Store Bodhisattva's Vow Sutra. So now it's chapter 6, Tathagata's Praise. At that time, Shakyamuni Buddha was expounding Dharma in the Trimsa heaven and emitted great illumination shining upon all the worlds. He spoke in a tremendous voice, so all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas could hear him. Because at the time there were countless Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, heavenly beings, dragon-like beings, deities. There are just so many. Thus Buddha used his Dharma power to emit great illumination and spoke in a tremendously loud voice so everyone can hear him. Buddha said, "Listen, as now I praise and acclaim Earth Store Bodhisattva for how he manifests great, inconceivable, and compassionate power in all the worlds to rescue and care for all wrongdoing, suffering beings. After my nirvana, all of you bodhisattvas, dragon-like beings, ghosts, deities, and others should use all means necessary to guard and protect this sutra. Let sentient beings stay away from sufferings and gain ultimate bliss. Let all sentient beings leave suffering and gain happiness." After the Buddha spoke these words, a bodhisattva named Universally Expansive joined his palms in respect and said to the Buddha, "Today, I see that Buddha highly praised Earth Store Bodhisattva for his numerous, inconceivable, awesome, supernormal power and virtues. World-honored one, for the sake of future sentient beings, please speak about how Earth Store Bodhisattva benefits all sentient beings, such that the 8 legends of heavenly beings and dragon-like beings and all sentient beings of the future may receive and uphold Buddha's words." At this time, the Buddha told universally expansive Bodhisattva and also said to everyone, "Listen attentively. I will now speak about this." Universally expansive Bodhisattva replied, "Thank you. We joyfully wish to listen." Shakyamuni Buddha said, "In the future, there may be people who hear Earth Store Bodhisattva's name. If these people's respect immediately arises and they praise or pay reverence to Earth Store Bodhisattva, they will transcend and eliminate 30 eons of heavy offenses with such merits and virtues." Universally expansive. There may be people who paint or sculpt images of Earth Store Bodhisattva. If these people pay reverence to his image, they will be reborn 100 times in the Trimsa heaven with such merits and virtues. The Buddha talked about sentient beings. Their life is like a circle, revolving. This time they die, and after they reincarnate, probably not the same as the last life. The last life, maybe they're an ordinary being. After being rescued and liberated, maybe next time they'll become deity, go to Trimsa heaven like this. So back like revolving like this. If you pay reverence and or paint or sculpt Earth Store Bodhisattva's image, then hundreds of times you will be reborn in the Trimsa heaven. Trimsa heaven is a great place. That's where Buddha's mother resides. And 1,000 years over there is like 36 million years on Earth. And one day, if you have already get bored of all the joy there, you want to come to the heavenly realm, then if you reborn in the human realm, if you want to come to the human realm, then you'll be reborn as kings and emperors and to enjoy great fortune. So you see, just sculpt and paint Earth Store Bodhisattva Sutra will have such great merits, right? Just like this. And there may be women who despise being women and who wholeheartedly make offerings in reverence to Earth Store Bodhisattva's image, a painting or a sculpture. It could be an image in your home or a monastery. When they see an image of Earth Store Bodhisattva, if they frequently make offerings to Earth Store Bodhisattva with incense, flowers, food, clothing, money, or jewelry, then this woman, the Buddha made it very clear that such women will not be reborn to a place with women in their future lives. Because you despise being a woman, right? So not only want to be reborn as a woman, but the place where you're reborn won't even have a woman unless this person vows that they want to benefit sentient beings in the form of a woman. You think that in this life, a woman is more beautiful and it's more convenient to help female sentient beings in this form. And only in such case will you become a woman. Otherwise, you will be reborn as a man. Furthermore, the Buddha said, universally expensive, there may be women who despise their unsightly appearance or who are frequently ill. They may be pay reverence and make offerings to Earth Store Bodhisattva's image. Even just a short period of time. What would be their merits and virtues, even if they do this only for a short time? Such women, through thousands of millions of life cycles, such women will be reborn with perfect looks and features. If this woman wishes to be reborn as a woman, she will become princesses, princess consorts, daughters of high ministers, or daughters of renowned families. They will be born with a dignified appearance and beauty. This is so wonderful, right? How great is that? How does she become beautiful? To praise Earth Store Bodhisattva and make offerings to Earth Store Bodhisattvas will make all these happen. And the Buddha continued, furthermore, universally expensive, there may be people who make offerings before Earth Store Bodhisattva's image by performing elegant music, sing beautiful songs, or praise his merits and virtues. All kinds of incense and flowers to make offerings to Earth Store Bodhisattva. Not only they do it themselves, they also persuade and guide others to do the same. Then both now and in the future. So remember this time and space, now and the future. Such people will be protected day and night by hundreds of thousands of ghosts and deities. For example, the deities are on guard in daytime and the ghosts are on guard at nighttime. They're always protecting you, right? So amazing. So no unfortunate events will ever occur. So universally expensive. Yeah, the protections from both the ghosts and the deities. Furthermore, in the future, there may be evil people, evil deities, or evil ghosts who see kind people being respectful, take refuge, making offerings, singing praises, or paying reverence to Earth Store Bodhisattva's image. Then, if these evil people, evil ghosts, express ridicule, malign, or slander, they may laugh at these people before them or utter slander behind their backs. They may urge other people to ridicule or slander likewise, or they may bear a thought of ridicule and slander. Such evil beings will fall into the incessant hell, undergoing extremely severe torments as the punishment, and will never be released. For such severe crime, when they have taken all the karmic effects and punishments in the hell, they will be reborn in the realm of hungry ghosts and continue to suffer after 1,000 great eons. Don't even try to calculate. Our brain will be, even the solar system has already exploded many times. After that, they will be reborn in the animal realms. And after spending another 1,000 great eons in the animal realm, they will be reborn in the human form, but they will become human beings who are lowly or who have disabilities. And, maybe they're missing an arm or a leg. And in many lives, they will suffer from being beaten and scolded and frequent illnesses and unfortunate events. Shortly, they will fall into the evil realm again. They are back in the incessant hell and continue to suffer from this hell to another hell. The torments are endless. Therefore, universally expensive. Those who ridicule and slander the people who make offerings or pay reverence to Earth Store Bodhisattva has such immense evil karma. How much worse will the consequences be if beings sneer, malign, or slander the Earth Store Bodhisattva themselves? So please be clear-minded. There's so many terrible, extreme punishments and the torture, and never be released. Right? What mistake or offense has they done? Only ridicule, malign, and slander or look down upon the people who respect, pay reverence, and praise Earth Store Bodhisattva. There will be such big offenses. How much more so would be for directly malign and ridicule and slander Earth Store Bodhisattva. That would be extremely terrible. We couldn't even imagine what punishment it would be. I firmly believe what the Buddhist Sutra, this sutra, has said. Next, the Buddha said, universally expensive. In the future, there may be people who are ill and bedridden for a long time. They're unable to get well or die despite their wishes. At night, they may have nightmares of evil ghosts, of a deceased family and relatives. They may dream of traveling on dangerous paths along with evil ghosts or their deceased relatives. Or they may frequently experience sleep paralysis. They may be tortured by ghosts such that you cannot move. You know, after a long time, they experience such things. They will become very, very, thin and waste away. I actually saw two of these people. I helped them before, and very difficult to help them. Almost not possible to help them. And they were very sick and always yelling and crying because it's so painful, so miserable. And these people, maybe it's because in this life or past life they have done certain kinds of karma, and on the verge of death, they will be waiting for the judgment. Have you ever seen the movie Along with the God? You see, after death, then they will wait for the judgment, right? When they are waiting for the judgment, and this person might be bedridden for a long time, waiting for the judgment, and so they cannot recover, and they cannot die either. And people at home, all the family members, they're just normal human beings. They don't know about this, and so a lot of people, actually, I met them, their soul has almost left their body already. They're supposed to leave the world already. However, he hasn't gone. From the medical aspect, they still have heartbeat and they still have brain waves, so they think that he's still alive, but he cannot recover. He cannot be lively. Really, there are people like this. And so in such circumstances, the person's family should sincerely, reverently read the Earth Store Bodhisattva's sutra out loud before the images of Buddhas or Bodhisattvas. It can be either an image of any Buddhas or Bodhisattvas. They may also make an offering of the sick person's most beloved possession. For example, it could be their favorite jewelry. Nowadays, you can use mobile phone or their belongings, clothing, manners, or houses. They should speak loudly to the sick person, as ill person may not be able to hear in that situation. With a loud voice, say, I, so-and-so, will now respectfully read the sutra to liberate you. Say this loudly. And in front of sutras or images of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, respectfully make offerings to images of Buddha or Bodhisattvas with these money and items. They may also use these to construct stupas and monasteries, to make light offerings or make offerings to places of Buddhist cultivation. Loudly say the declaration 3 times in front of the sick person and make sure that the sick person can hear it. If the person is terminally ill, has lost consciousness, and has stopped breathing, read the sutra loudly for 1 to 7 days would be the best. After this person's life ends, because of his past wrongdoings, very heavy wrongdoings, he will forever be relieved from the severe punishments. He will even be relieved of the 5 heinous crimes that punish him into the incessant hell. Wherever he's reborn, he will know his previous lives and the cause and effects. The Buddha continued to say, how much more beneficial would it be when people personally copy this sutra in writing, teach others to copy it, sculpt it, or paint this bodhisattva's image personally, or even ask others to sculpt or paint his image? The kind karmic effects will bring them immense benefits. Therefore, universally expensive. If you see people who read and recite this sutra, who have even one thought of praise for it, you should use all skillful means to encourage them and keep their diligent mind from regressing. They will be able to attain inconceivable merits and virtues in both the present and future. Furthermore, universally expensive. In the future, when sentient beings are dreaming, they may see ghosts, deities, and other forms of beings. So in the dreams, they see ghosts or very strange-looking beings. These beings may be sad or crying or worried or sighing or fearful or terrified. So these ghosts or forms are the sentient beings, relatives or family members. Say, for example, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, husbands, wives, uncles, nephews, relatives, or other retinues from their previous lives. These beings are family relatives or have a marital bond with you. They have been they're in the evil realm and unable to be released, so they have no way out. Thus, they have come into your dreams. Universally expensive. You should tell these sentient beings and advise them to make merits and virtues such that their deceased relatives can be liberated from the evil realms. The Buddha said to the universally expansive Bodhisattva, use your divine power to help these living family members to personally read this sutra aloud, respectfully before the images of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Who should read the sutra aloud? The person who had the dream. People who are illiterate can request others to read in their place. Read out loud 3 or 7 times. After reading the sutra, the relatives in the evil realms should have been liberated. So see, this sutra is so wonderful and divine. Reading this itself and reciting itself can help your family members to release from the hell, and they will not suffer in the hell anymore. Such great merits and virtues. After you read the sutra, maybe your relatives or family members from the hell will be liberated, and you will never dream of them anymore because they are liberated. They may be reborn as heavenly beings or go to reborn in a very wealthy family. Furthermore, universally expensive. In the future, there may be various persons of lower classes, maids, slaves, or other people deprived of freedom. They may be constrained frequently. These people may realize that they are undergoing the consequences of their past karma and wish to repent. They should pay reverence to Earth Store Bodhisattva's image for 1 to 7 days and chant the Earth Store Bodhisattva's name. So even people don't read the sutra, as long as they chant Bodhisattva's name for 10,000 times, that will do too. When these people's present karma effect is over, for thousands of millions of lives in the future, they will always be reborn among among the noble and wealthy. They will not undergo the suffering of the three evil realms. This is so wonderful. If you cannot read the sutra, recite the sutra, just chant Earth Store Bodhisattva's name will do too. Or chant Earth Store Bodhisattva's heart mantra. That will be even more powerful and more effective. So Buddha continued, universally expensive. In the future, people of various clans and classes may have newborn infants. Whether these newborns are boys or girls, in the first 7 days of their birth, the families should read this sutra as early as possible and chant the Bodhisattva's name a full 10,000 times on behalf of the newborns. Please remember this. With these merits and virtues, the children will be freed from the punishments and evil karmic effect of their past life's wrongdoings. Naturally, their current life will be smoother, happier, and healthier. They will enjoy longevity, wealth, and auspiciousness. They will grow up in peace and easy to bring them up and have easy temperament. Their life will be prolonged. If the child already was born with good fortune, these merits and virtues will make them even healthier and live an even longer life. Everything will be even better. Furthermore, universally expensive, there are 10 observance days in each month. When are these? These are the 1st, 8th, 14th, 18th, 15th, 18th, 23rd, 24th, 28th, 29th, and 30th days of the lunar months. In short lunar months, the last 3 days are changed to the 27th, 28th, and 29th. In Chinese lunar calendar, we have longer and shorter months. So on these 10 observance days, offenses of sentient beings will be assessed. For ordinary sentient beings, every action and every thought inevitably generate karma. How much more so when they intentionally kill, steal, commit sexual misconduct, or use false speech. There are too many offenses. Almost, the general public, whenever we do something, it's always for our benefit or satisfy our desire, our appetite, our beauty, our money, power, or glory. When it's for satisfying ourselves, a lot of times we will harm others, and then in this case there will be offenses and this is wrongdoing. If they're able to read the Earth Store Bodhisattva's Sutra aloud once in front of the images of Buddhas or Bodhisattvas on these 10 observance days, it will be extremely auspicious. There will be auspicious and peace for 100 yojanas around such people's homes. Those in their families, both young and old, will be kept away from the evil realms now and throughout hundreds of thousands of years in the future. They will not suffer from disasters or severe illnesses. They will live a wealthy and abundant life. Wow, really good. Therefore, universally expensive. You should know that Earth Store Bodhisattva used countless, immense, and inconceivable supernormal powers to benefit sentient beings. Sentient beings of our Earth have great karmic connection with this great Bodhisattva. If sentient beings of Earth hear Earth Store Bodhisattva's name, see his image, even just hear the title of this sutra, or hear only about 3 words or 5 words, a verse or a sentence of this sutra, they will have superbly wonderful peace and happiness in the present life. For hundreds of thousands of millions of lives in the future, they will always be reborn into noble and wealthy families and have a dignified appearance. At that time, after universally expensive Bodhisattva had heard Sakyamuni Buddha praising Earth Store Bodhisattva, he knelt down with palms joined and said to Buddha, "World-honored one, I have long known that Earth Store Bodhisattva has such inconceivable power of merits and virtue, supernormal power and power of great vows. In order for the future sentient beings to gain benefits through Earth Store Bodhisattva, I make this request to Buddha. We most respectfully receive Buddha's teachings." Universally expansive Bodhisattva further asks, World Honored One, what is the name of this inconceivable sutra? How should we promote and propagate this sutra far and wide? The Buddha told Universally expansive Bodhisattva, this sutra has 3 names. The first is called Earth Store Vows. It is also called Earth Store Deeds, and it's also called Earth Store Vows and Deeds. Usually we call it the Earth Store Bodhisattva's Vow Sutra, or Earth Store Sutra in short. Because this great Bodhisattva has made such profound vows to benefit sentient beings throughout many long eons, this great Bodhisattva refers to Earth Store Bodhisattva. Thus, all of you should promote and propagate this sutra in accordance with the great vows of Earth Store Bodhisattva. After hearing this, Universally Expansive Bodhisattva joined his palms in respect, paid respect, and went back to his seat. So now the 6th chapter is now complete. So Grandmaster, I have a question. So sculpt and paint Bodhisattva's image sounds good, but I'm not very good at painting. I think if I paint the image, Buddha's Bodhisattva won't be happy. So what should I do? Well, if you don't know how to paint, very simple. Don't paint, a mess. You'd rather ask other people to paint. So, like for today, I would say to purchase a picture that's already painted or printed, very beautiful and elegant Bodhisattva's picture. And if there are some of the Buddhist centers, they have opportunities to sculpt the statue, then you can join them that have immeasurable benefits. And don't just make a whole mess and then you will cry. Other people look at it and will cry. They won't have that reverence when they see the picture. Buddhas, Bodhisattvas are not that unsightly. If you make it very unsightly, I think that actually has some offenses. So you'd rather ask professional people to paint it. I also have known some amateur people who paint Buddha statues, and then they kindly give me Buddha Bodhisattva statue, especially Guanyin Bodhisattva picture. But I usually will not pay reverence to the picture that he paint. Mine is better. It's not. I probably will just collect it there. The statue, the image of Buddha's Bodhisattva's image, when we paint it, we have some requirements. So before these painters do this, like half a month or a month, whether you paint it or sculpt it, he doesn't necessarily to be a monk or nun, but he cannot have intimate relations, cannot eat meat, cannot drink alcohol after noontime. He cannot eat. A lot of requirements, and also a few days ago he needs to take showers or baths to change clean and the cleanest and newest clothes, and also cover his mouth, because at that time there's no facial mask, but they think that human beings' qi, the breath, is filthy, but Buddha's breath is pure and clean, and so we cannot ruin that. So and also painting a Buddhist statue is different from painting a human body. People who learned from art institute, they think a young girl, they will paint like a young girl, but Buddha's Bodhisattva's beauty is not a human beauty. It's very sacred beauty. Whether the image is, chubby or not that chubby, they are really such a spirit, and it's so beautiful, and so and help you to arise such kind of reverence and respect, and therefore only professional people can do it. Okay, so in the Buddhist Sutra, if a woman despise being a woman, and they can make offerings to Earth Store Bodhisattva's image, and be very diligent and offer incense, flower, food, clothes, money, and treasures. So here they said, be diligent every day. What does that mean? So diligence has several categories, several contexts. In the sutras, actually, as already mentioned, you see, you make offerings, givings, and also chant, and always go to the temple. Say, for example, as a volunteer or help to cook, or etc. And another part, some fellow practitioners say, is there the practice part? If they have an opportunity to cultivate a Buddhist dharma and has a practice to practice, and then you should practice, and that would be the best. If you don't have a practice to do, then you can chant or do volunteering in a Buddhist center. And also there's the reverence heart. So this heart, when you have that reverence heart, then everything that you perceive will be different. You will also have a very compassionate, dignified state, and will also arise power and wisdom. This power or energy is the energy that you work. So some people would say, oh, it's morning again, I have to get up. But when they get up, they're very tired. When they wash their face, they didn't even have energy to wash their face or brush their teeth, and they feel so tiring. So if you're already tired after you get up, then what if you're working? What if you go and cook breakfast and doing cleaning or bring food to the master? You say, oh, tiring. Then what about receive people? Maybe the center or the master really look high on you and allow you to go receive people. Say, oh, I'm already so tired. You asked me to receive people, because you don't have the reverence heart. When you have the reverence heart, you don't have this fatigue at all. You say, oh, I'll get up early. I need to diligently practice. I need to make merits. And master is waiting for me to serve him. And when you have that reverence heart, you don't have any fatigue. You feel like almost 6 p.m. and you're still full of energy. You still have a lot of energy. Say, oh, are there any more work to do? You see? If you have the aspiration, it would be like this. There's a very successful Japanese entrepreneur. He says, I work 16 hours a day. Some people ask me if I'm tired. I don't feel tired. I don't think I'm working. I'm doing something that I like most, and I'm very, passionate about it and enjoy doing it. I'm not tired. I don't feel I'm, working for others. If you're working for others, but your heart don't feel joyful and you don't like the work, then you feel like you are used, and if they don't give me food or they don't give me money, I'm not going to walk. I'm not going to do any work. And so you're just treating yourself like an animal. You're treating yourself like a slave. And so you're doing something, you think, oh, how can I not do it well? This is my very rare opportunity. When you have this kind of heart and reverence, then your fatigue instantly disappeared. Let alone, in front of Buddha and Bodhisattva, master maybe wanted to help you. So come and do some volunteer. Do you want to do volunteer? Say, hey, yeah. I think volunteering is a very glorious thing. I say, okay, would you like to start from cleaning? And then usually you don't refuse. Say, okay. But after a year or half a year, you think, oh, see, those people who receive people is very glorious. Can I go receive people? And then you have some conditions. If not, then if people say no, they say, Master, I don't want to do it anymore. Why? Well, they cannot cheat me, right? And I feel so boring. I don't, are you feeling boring when I see me? I asked and said, well, I didn't dare to feel bored, but I do feel, frustrated. And what about you see Buddha's Bodhisattva's image? Well, I didn't dare to, but still. So you don't have reverence, and when you already been given such an opportunity, you didn't cherish, you didn't catch the opportunity, but you're very picky, and you say you have a lot of arrogance. You say, I'm not afraid of anybody. I have a lot of money. My husband has a lot of money. Oh no. So when we come back to Buddhist teaching, when you are given the opportunity, joyfully accept it. Okay. And so Grandmaster, there's something that also inspired me. Not only we should do merits ourselves, we should also persuade and lead others to do merits. It's just like a dharma giving, right? So in these cultivation, there are two main categories. One is meditation. Focus on meditation and chanting, like meditation in the six perfections. So this is a very professional dharma. And also there's another part which is focusing on make offering. This we can also call it cultivation. But if you do not have the opportunity to cultivate or practice meditation, but if we cultivate this merit, we can still reach that state. In one sutra, there was someone, it's the daughter of the Dragon Lord. She has already cultivated for many lives, and in this life, she's also very, very kind. And her father is the Dragon Lord, and she always look forward to see, hopefully one day Buddha will be close by, and then I'll definitely go and meet Buddha in person. And finally opportunity comes, and she brought the great a very big night pearl, the most precious one in the Dragon Palace, almost as big as a basketball, and she offered to Buddha and shining great light. Buddha knows that this is priceless. And so Buddha said, okay, you achieve Buddhahood. And she has the Buddha's title, the name, and also the location. And she was able to help all sentient beings. See, she didn't even need to meditate or do volunteering or to respect or offer flowers or chanting. She doesn't need to do that. Usually people say, oh, you want to achieve Buddhahood? Have you meditated? Which level is that? Have you ever achieved, see any demons? And usually the highest level when you meditate is Arhat. Arhat is not Buddha. And they say, what merits do you have? According to usually an ordinary people's thinking, then this is just an ordinary people's logic. But Buddha says the Dragon Lord's daughter offered the treasure and instantly achieved Buddhahood and has transcended this time and space. So she just demonstrated this process. Maximum 30 years. Do you want to know how long Guanyin Bodhisattva has cultivated to become Guanyin Bodhisattva? I heard it's only 1 or 2 years. Sometimes it's different from making marinated vegetable or something. Usually they think a master who is old will have the technology, but Buddha Dharma is different. It doesn't matter who come first or not. So sometimes maybe you meditate for 50 years and you cannot achieve that Buddhahood or have that ultimate wisdom. And so some people, they practice 50 years, it's only graduate from elementary. Some only practice 7 days, it's already graduate from high school. And some only practice for an hour, and it's like graduate from PhD. And so this is in Buddhism. So it's accumulated merits and cultivations and virtues. You said that I didn't meditate, but you have accumulated huge merits and benefits. Maybe 7 hours, you're already graduate from the doctor's school, and it's accumulated. So Guanyin Bodhisattva maximum only cultivate for a year or two, and and he's trying to find the suffering cause. So wherever they are, I will rescue him. Even he's at the corner of the world, I will do, or in any world, I'll try every means to save. And even the King Yama or Mahakala or a lot of the evil ghosts, they are sometimes the manifestations of Guanyin Bodhisattva, because he wanted to use every single means to save you and rescue you out of the suffering sea. So if we haven't have the meditation way to kind of cultivate, and if you meet Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, these masters, and you just serve himself, and only the blessing that he shared with you will allow you to leave sufferings, attain happiness, then you are not fall into hell or evil race, and even reborn in the heavenly realm. So you don't even need to practice. And so, yeah. So just like the daughter of the Dragon Lord, he offered this treasure, and instantly achieved Buddhahood, has transcended and beyond usual process of an ordinary person's cultivation. And you see, in a whole life, 100 years, it's very fast. Buddha, look at that, it's just an instant for our whole life. 80 years, 100 years, it's very long. But in the Buddhist world, this is like instantly passed. And so what is the cultivation when we have this opportunity to make offerings and serve our master or any Buddha, Dharma, Sangha? This is enough. You already have the opportunity to accomplish. Don't be picking, oh, let me see if my master has been already being enlightened. You'll be able to follow a master and cultivate. The blessing that you receive is enough for you to reborn into the heavenly world for, I don't know, thousands of millions of years. So Christine said, Grandmaster, to slander or ridicule people who make offerings to Earth Store Bodhisattva will have immense punishment. How can it be so terrible? Grandmaster says, so first is the faith. Everything that Buddha says is the truth. He will never cheat us. I'm a witness, and I don't think there's anything to explain. But why it's such a big offense to slander those people? Just look at Buddha having this assembly in Trastrimsa heaven, the ghost king, the heavenly being, the heavenly king, and dragon-like beings, bodhisattvas, and even Buddhas are all rescued and helped by Earth Store Bodhisattva. So think about this bodhisattva's energy and light. How big is that? If you ridicule or slander the people who pay reverence to him, do you know why? The fortunate people who are paying respect to Earth Store Bodhisattva, they have already received heavenly beings' protection, and they don't want to say, you are laughing at this person, you're laughing at people who are making reference to Earth Store Bodhisattva. So these people who respect them, they're actually protected by heavenly beings. And so these heavenly beings will send you to hell. In a movie, it will be, you can see that, someone is laughing at the person who pay reverence to Earth Store Bodhisattva and Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and then you're saying like, oh, you're a fool, you're just make offering to that mud statue or image. But when you are laughing, the ghost king is actually catching your neck, and it's very cruel. So you cannot slander or ridicule, and otherwise disasters will come. If you believe that there's deities or ghosts, then you need to be careful. Otherwise, well, you can give it a try. Something might happen. And so there are also examples of, under certain circumstances, how to do merits, and one of them is offer the sick person's favorite things to make the offering. Well, that's very simple. Well, let's think, is it better to go to the 18th level hell or exchange with a treasure? Uh, is it better to die immediately, or change with like a house to exchange my 10 years of life? Think about it. Yeah, when you're at the verge of death, everything is illusions, including your loved person, your children, your, everything, visible or invisible, all the wealth and money and house, and these are nothing. Nothing can save you. All these assets and properties, if you can use them so that Buddha will escape you from the hell, well, that's already a great deal. Yeah. So there's something that reminded me. So when we're doing merits, we cannot use something that I don't want. We should use something that is the most precious, that I like the most to offer to Master, to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and this will express our most sincere heart. Yeah, so when we make offerings, we should use the good things, the most beautiful things, new things. And usually our seniors will educate us, don't offer something or donate to the temple something that you have already used. That's not auspicious. That's like a blaspheme. In the past, Grandmaster says, he has like stinky smell on the body and also odor in the mouth. And I asked the Master, what is this illness? What's wrong with him? And my master said in the past he used leftover food to offer Buddha, and so he's like this. Oh, such offense by doing that. Nobody can heal him. No doctors can help him. He was so regretful. He couldn't get married. Everybody, when approaching him, it's that odor, that stinky smell. So when you donate anything to a Buddhist center, change donate into make offerings. So use the heart of make offerings. Then you will receive merits. So if there's something that you don't need, say for example a sofa, it occupies a big space and it's out of fashion now, and sitting on it, it's not comfortable anymore, and all the good feeling has already lost. So you want to change a new sofa, and also you don't have space to put it. If you threw it away, you need to pay. You heard the center might want a sofa. I can use a donation, right? I can say that I'm donating. So let's put it in a car and take it to the center. But in the future, you won't get fortune because of reverence. You will get something not so good. Say, for example, if you offer steamed bun, but it's already bad, then you say, this is a newly fresh steamed bun. But you know that what's happening when you have odor in your body or have cancer, nobody can cure you. Then you will know that this is a disaster. This is not offering. This is blaspheme. And some would say, I got something. I won't clean my hands. I won't wash my hands. My body is also clean. Well, Master, he has Kung Fu, right? I'll test if he knows. Maybe the Master said, okay, I'll eat it. So how's the food? Yummy. Maybe the Master would say it's good, but the disaster will fall on you. Maybe you walk on the road and suddenly die in a car accident, and the worst thing is that your whole family is on the car. It's because that you used a very bad heart to make the offering. The Master could be very forgiving, but the Dharma protectors will punish you. You can be poor, but you cannot be disrespectful. Well, if you're poor, you use the last bowl of rice to offer Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. This is immeasurable merits. But when you're very rich and you use bad things and you're intentionally test your master, and this is very offensive. And so you come to serve in the center. Some are doing very well. Some are very angry, saying, only me are doing this. Well, actually, I think, it's up to you, right? I give you the opportunity. If you don't do it, then you don't have the opportunity. And if you have a lot of complaints, then you're wasting the time. And a brother was thinking, nobody's working here, see, only me. And he was very arrogant. Usually I will give him some face and say, oh, you work very hard, immeasurable benefits, immeasurable merits. Buddhas, Bodhisattvas are watching you. Well, you forget about your intention, your initial aspiration. You're coming here to do something good. You're not coming here to do bad things, but you use this good opportunity, an offering opportunity, to become a chance of disaster. If I put it more directly, in the Buddhist centers, we are never lack of people who want to make offerings or volunteer. If you want to come, then come with the true respectful heart. If you're not respectful, don't come. Otherwise, you have disasters. It's not that I'm not kind. All the centers of our centers are for helping sentient beings. You're coming here to receive blessings, but you're complaining, or you use some fake things or already stinky food to make offering to the center, or some are using bad apples to make offerings. Maybe you think, oh, the center has the fresh apples, I have some aged apples, I'll exchange it, I'll bring the new apple home and bring my old aged apple here to the center. Well, did you receive blessing from those apples? Is it blessings? It's disaster. So Grandmaster, there's another important thing. I wonder if Grandmaster, you can explain in detail. In the sutra, it mentioned in the future world, some sentient beings, they will see ghosts or deities or other sentient beings in other forms. These beings are your family members from previous lives, and they couldn't be released from the evil realms. So Buddhas, Bodhisattvas says you should persuade them to do merits and virtues, and respectfully read and recite this sutra in front of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas images. And after you read the sutra, those family members in the evil realms will be liberated, and you will never dream of them again. So I'm so grateful for all compassion. Earth Store Bodhisattva used his awesome normal, supernormal power and dharma power. Just reading the sutra, the families who fell into the evil realms will be liberated. Such great compassion. Some people might doubt about it. Would it be so effective? This is Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. They have great compassion, give you a way out. Buddha is telling you, is not here to tell you that there are hells to make you scared. It's actually giving you a way out. The hell, yeah. So some people ask, when is the hell, created? I would say whenever there's human realm, there's hell. Human beings, they're too intelligent. Sometimes they're intelligent doing good things, sometimes do bad things. And a lot of people, they do very bad things, so there's the hell. So Buddha told us, here's a way. Earth Store Bodhisattva saved countless sentient beings. And when you dreamed of those people, secondly, when you see some not very good images or scenes, it means that they need help. And so the living being should do offerings or merits and read sutra 3 times. Even if your relative doesn't is illiterate, that they cannot read or cannot recite, then you can ask people to read or recite. And so the people who need help need to be able to hear. This is most important. So it's just giving you a convenient way out. Also, in the sutra, it says that benefit our children. For the newborn baby, after 7 days of birth, you'd better read this sutra as early as possible. And also, you can chant Earth Store Bodhisattva's name 10,000 times. Some online friends said, oh, well, at the time when my baby was born, I didn't know that. Now he's already grown up. Would it still be effective if I read? Well, no matter how old is he, because you have this blood relationship, if you do merits, they will always be effective. Even like your friends or your classmates who don't have this bloody blood relationship with you. If you do marriage for him, still effective, let alone your child. In a sutra, it said after the child was born, the first month and the first 100 days and the first 1 year is exceptionally important. If you can read sutra or do merits for him or her, then their whole life will be very safe. In the past, when they make names, they like to make some lifeless names, like a stone or maybe a pillow or a stool or a spoon or a spade. So it's not like a human name. So they want to have something that doesn't have life, so that King Yama will not take him away. So that's the intention. So bring up a child is not easy. That's why right after the child is born, to read sutra for him, to do merits for him, this is so important for this child. Say, for example, the child has a fate. In the future, he would just get married, have a child, have a very normal life, and maybe 50 years old, 60 years old will die. If you have already seen the fate and fortune teller already told the parents, don't you want to do some merits for the child? Of course. At least you want him to live until 100 years old, or at least 80 years old, and maybe richer and happier, maybe have better appearance, maybe healthier. You have a lot of good intentions, right? And also under 3 years old, you see that he's very very lively, very healthy. But after 20 years old, maybe he cannot walk, or maybe after 18 years old, suddenly he cannot hear. A lot of child from 7 to 15 years old, they suddenly become deaf. I've seen a lot of them like that. Suddenly after a high fever, they said, oh, the high fever caused the death. But why he had that high fever? So that's a calamity in his life. That's just absolutely going to happen in his life. I know a very famous singer. His younger brother is a mute. When he was 6 or 7 years old, had a high fever, and he wasn't able to hear. And ever since then, he wasn't able to speak and become a mute. So that's his fate. In his life, he had done something that he shouldn't have done, like say something that he shouldn't say in the temple and slander cultivators. So in this life, he became a mute. So that's the consequence in his life. So if you receive cultivator's praise, either a praise or a spell, which one you want? Of course, a praise. So my master said, you see that old man? He looks like a fool. Only 30 years old is already a fool. He now is already very old. When my master was very young at the time, 30 years old, he said, in my past life, I want to help him. I saw this person. He was only a teenager. I said, oh, child, you can read, right? Help me to write a letter. My eyes are not clear. I can't see very clearly. Actually, my master was trying to save him because he knows that he has a disaster. But the young man said, oh, what? I can't hear. And my master said loudly, oh, my eyes are blurry. Can you write something for me, write a letter? And he said, ah. And then my master yelled at his ears and then he said, I heard it, but I'm foolish. But then my master was extremely irritated. Okay, then you be a fool. So in this life, my master pointed at that old man, and he was, lying on the ground, and even would eat the dog shit. And he's not pretending. And when kids are beating him with the stone, he didn't know. So this is just last life. Because he wanted to be a fool. And I felt, oh my gosh, master, you have already reincarnated. Your last life was here too? Yeah, my master said, last life I was here in this temple too. This life I still need to come. And at that time, that man was pretending to be fool, but he he got himself a fall. So that's a very vivid case. And there was another time when someone we were driving on a car, and it's a 7-seater, but we have 8 people there. When the police come, he said, "Oh, I'm not a person. I'll just lie on the ground. I'm not a person." And I said, "Don't say that, otherwise it will become true." But he said, "I'll definitely say that I'm not a human being." And then after half a year, he died. So don't say that. It will become true, okay? So if someone says, "If I lie, I'll go to hell." Well, you said that, right? Then you'll be sent to hell. And also in the Earth Store Bodhisattva, a friend asked if reading it will eliminate our karma, but chanting Earth Store Bodhisattva's name, is it the same effective? So Grandmaster said these are all effective. The mantras or the Bodhisattva's name is shorter, so it's easier to remember. But in the Bodhisattva's name and mantra, it doesn't have that many information, so won't remind us as many information, not as many teachings. So the guidance is not enough. So reading sutra will bring us more merits. In the sutra, Bodhisattva and Buddha, they're so compassionate. They tell you so many details, give you many detailed instructions, right? But when you're only chanting Bodhisattvas or Buddha's name or mantras, there are no teachings here. There are no reminders here. So I think reading the sutra will have more merits.
Next, let's talk about Chapter 7. Benefiting the living and the deceased. Earth Store Bodhisattva respectfully said to the Buddha, "World Honored One, I observe that the mental stirrings and thoughts of sentient beings on earth are almost always wrongdoings. After doing good deeds and receiving some benefits from it, they will suddenly regress from their aspiration, and they're back into the original vulgar state, full of greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. When they encounter evil influences, such as the abetting of some bad friends, their evil thoughts and wrongdoings increase. So having good friends is very important. These people are like carrying heavy rocks while they're walking in a slippery mud. Walking in this situation gets harder as time passes. They will become more trapped and weighed down as their feet sink deeper with each step. It's like walking in a marsh. But suppose you accumulated a few merits in the past, such as having respect in front of the Buddha, or for even once, you might have once offered an incense, a flower, an apple, or a red date to the Buddha. In that case, you may meet a virtuous friend. This virtuous friend has a compassionate and kind heart, and they will give you guidance. He also has wisdom and aspiration to save you. Such a person is called a virtuous friend. If you receive the guidance or support from this virtuous friend, your burden will be lightened or even removed completely. Because such a virtuous friend has great merits, virtues, and strengths. That's a reason. Furthermore, the virtuous friend helps to keep your steps firm and steady and keep you out of the mesh. After that, the virtuous friend will urge you to reflect on yourself and advise you not to walk on this dangerous path again. See how considerate this friend is. Many people are tortured by spiritual burdens, especially evil karma. They are walking in the marsh with the burden and can't be released. World Honored One, sentient beings accustomed to evil begin with a small evil act, then quickly escalate into countless evil. The evil is expanding. For example, when you eat spicy food, at the beginning you feel it's too spicy, just having a little. Later you get used to it and want more. At last you directly eat chili peppers. In fact, drinking alcohol, eating spicy food, and doing bad things are all like this. You become addicted. when you can't control yourself and keep doing bad things to some extent, you will get unlimited evil karma. Because sentient beings have such bad habits, when they're dying, their parents and relatives should make merits and virtues on their behalf to help them be reborn in a good place. So the parents and relatives should do something for these people. Otherwise, they'll definitely go to hell. Take a look at Buddhas and Bodhisattvas images, especially Amitabha Buddha and his attendant Bodhisattvas. On the top of their images, there is a motif that looks like a ruyi or a cloud. This is called a canopy. A canopy is also called a banner in some sutra translations. In fact, its real name in China is a parasol. It was used by noble people such as emperors, princesses, senior officials, or saints. Before going outside, they use a parasol for sun, wind, and rain protection. Because they are honorable, we take good care of them. The canopy on top of their heads is auspicious. You can hang the canopy on top of Buddha and Bodhisattva statues to represent solemnness and protection. You can also make light offerings, recite the Earth Store Sutra, or make offerings to the images of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Moreover, you can chant the names of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and solitary Buddhas in front of the dying one. You know many names of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas already, such as Avalokitesvara or Guanyin Bodhisattva, Earth Store Bodhisattva, Amitabha Buddha, Medicine Buddha, Sakyamuni Buddha, etc. What about solitary Buddha? We usually don't call this name. In the early days, many great arhats meditated and attained enlightenment. They are called solitary Buddhas. But most people don't know this title. This sutra gives readers some convenience here. But when chanting the names of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, you must chant each of their name precisely and clearly. Chant every word clearly so the dying one can hear the names. Because of these sentient beings' wrongdoings, their karmic effect would bring them into the evil realms. Because their relatives do compassionate deeds for them, all their evil karma can be eradicated. Especially when the relatives can do various kind deeds for them during the first 49 days after their passing. Within 49 days, remember this time frame. In that case, the deceased can leave the evil realms forever. They will be reborn in the human realm or the heaven realm and experience wondrous joy. The first 49 days are very important. It's a crucial time. Also, those living relatives who do the kind deeds, they will also receive immeasurable merits and benefits. The next paragraph was spoken by Earth Store Bodhisattva. Therefore, in front of the presence of Buddha, the 8 legions of heavenly beings and dragon-like beings, humans, non-humans, and others, I urge all sentient beings to be careful. When someone is dying, do not kill, or harm, or generate evil conditions. Do not worship or offer sacrifice to ghosts and demons. Why is that? Because many people make a killing to worship ghosts and demons. It doesn't help the deceased, but generates new karma for them. For example, you may kill chickens, sheep, and other animals while trying to liberate the deceased. But in fact, you're generating new evil karma for them, which make their karmic effect more severe. And that's your fault, the living being's fault. Let's say the deceased did have some good deed before and should have gone to the heaven realm or the human realm. But because those ignorant relatives who generated evil karma on their behalf, the deceased are involved as an accomplice. It will affect the judgment of their kindness and evilness. This is very important. You killed with the hope of helping the deceased, but the deceased has no consciousness, so he reacts slowly and is not as sharp as he was. This event will affect his karmic deliberation and delay his rebirth. Remember, the best time to be reborn in the heaven or human realm is in the first 49 days. If the deceased person does not have a kind root when he was alive, they will fall into an evil realm according to their karma. So the living relatives don't increase the deceased's evil karma. So don't kill to worship ghosts for the deceased. There are still some old customs similar to it. For example, after death, the living relatives will organize a funeral and invite friends to pay their respects. Then the dead body will be cremated and buried. But in many rural areas in China and Taiwan, the living relatives must cater for the funeral attendees. And the so-called friends and relatives may not attend if the food is not delicious. This is a real issue. So the funeral organizers has to kill animals such as pigs or sheep to satisfy those funeral attendees. This practice generates bad karma for both the deceased and the living. It's harmful for the deceased. So the relatives are not helping. They are brainless teammates. The deceased should have been reborn in heaven, but he falls into hell instead. Here's another example. Earth Store Bodhisattva continued. It's like there was a person who had traveled from afar. He had been out of food for 3 days and carrying a load that weighed more than 100 pounds. He was already exhausted. Suddenly, he came upon a neighbor who added another 50 pounds to his load and made his burden even heavier. He was dizzy, his legs cramped, and his body shivered. The Bodhisattva said, "World Honored One, I see that as long as sentient beings can follow the teachings of Buddhas, or even just do good deeds as little as a strand of hair, their merits will grow. All the kind things that you do will return to benefit yourself." At this point, an elder stood up in the assembly. His name is Great Eloquence. That means he is good at debate. This elder had long since attained complete and pure wisdom that is not born and does not cease. What is that wisdom? It means it will exist forever. So he almost achieves the pure state of a real arhat. His lifespan is equal to the earth or this world, and he has no desires but infinite compassion and loving kindness. In fact, he's similar to solitary Buddha. This elder has achieved this attainment, but at this time, he did not attend the assembly in the form of a Buddha or a Bodhisattva or a ghost king. He was in the form of a compassionate old man that we know as an elder. The elder joined his palms in respect and inquired of Earth Store Bodhisattva, "Mahasattva, after sentient beings die, their family and relatives may cultivate virtues and merits for their sake, offer vegetarian meals, respect the Buddha and the Sangha, and plant virtuous causes. Will it help the deceased to gain great benefits and liberation?" Earth Store Bodhisattva replied, "Elder, now through the Buddha's awesome power, I will explain this in terms for the sake of all sentient beings in the present and future. When sentient beings in the present and future are nearing death, those who hear a Buddha's name, a Bodhisattva's name, or a solitary Buddha's name will gain liberation, regardless of whether they have offenses or not. They will all attain liberation. There may be people who did not cultivate virtuous causes, but committed many offenses while alive. After their deaths, their relatives do good deeds to make merits and virtues on their behalf. But there is a calculation here. The deceased person will receive 1/7 of the benefits, and the living relatives will receive the rest 6/7 of the benefits. For example, your family relative has passed away and you make offering to help him. Of the merits and virtues generated from these kind deeds, only 1/7 is given to the deceased person, and the rest 6/7 of the merits will be given to the living relative. Therefore, in the present and future, people should cultivate virtues and merits for themselves while having good health and hearing. They will receive 100% of the benefits. So 7 out of 7, you will receive 100% of all the benefits. You don't have to do any calculations. Especially when you are dying, you will not see the king of hell, but be reborn in heaven realm or the world of ultimate bliss. That's it. So generally speaking, the living relatives will gain 6/7 of the benefits after the deceased pass away. The Bodhisattva continued, the great ghost of impermanence can come unexpectedly. That's a real problem. Some people just start driving but hit another car and pass away. That means a ghost appeared and took you away. You don't know when it comes for you. After death, the deceased wanders in darkness, uncertain of his offenses and merits, because it is within the first 49-day period of their passing. The deceased is unconscious of what's happening. They can neither see nor hear. The king of hell judges where he will be reborn based on his karmic effects. This deliberation process is torturing. It's like after taking a difficult test, you don't know what your score is. You're upset and uneasy because you don't know whether you passed it. Even worse, some people may fall into the evil realms to suffer. You might wonder if a person has been reborn within 49 days. Remember, after a person passes away, they're waiting for their judgment in the first 49 days. During this time, although the deceased doesn't have a clear consciousness, but his soul is very clear. He knows what's going on. He sincerely hopes that his relatives will engender the strength of merit to rescue him. You know it when you die, but it will be too late to send messages to your relatives. It's not like making a phone call or testing. Only when your energy is extremely strong can you appear in the dream of your relatives. But it's hard, so most people still suffer there. And after the first 49 days, they will be reborn or suffer based on their karma before death. If the deceased person had committed many offenses when he was alive, he will spend thousands of years in an evil realm without a day of liberation. If he committed any of the 5 heinous crimes, he will fall into the hell of 5-fold incessant suffering. 5-fold incessant suffering. This is a hell with the heaviest, longest, and most painful sufferings. He will be there for millions of aeons without a day of release. It is important to do kind deeds for the deceased in the first 49 days. Furthermore, elder, after the death of such a being with wrongdoing karma, his relatives and retinues can help him by offering vegetarian meals to the 3 jewels. By making vegetarian meals and offering them to the 3 jewels, you will accumulate merits and virtues for the deceased and eliminate evil karma for him. But be careful, before and after the completion of the meal offering, the meal can't fall to the ground. Especially the one that fell to the ground cannot be offered to the 3 jewels, the ordained monks. You may think, I'll wash the dirty ones and then offer the clean part. Don't do that. It's unacceptable. And don't throw away the food. Don't waste the food. If it falls to the ground, you can have it yourself or feed livestock with it. You cannot eat the food that will be offered to the Buddha and the Sangha. Otherwise, you will be making the offering with your leftovers. If you do that, it doesn't accumulate merits but evil karma. So please be careful about this. This is what Earth Store Bodhisattva said. Do not disobey. Do not eat it yourself first, and do not be disrespectful when making the offering. So not only do you need to make the offering, but you also need to be sincere about the offering. If you're not sincere, there's no benefit from making the offering. So you made the offering for nothing. You wanted to show your kindness. Since you're not respectful and do it carelessly, like whatever, I don't care, you will receive no merits from offering. It will not help you when it's your time to pass away. On the contrary, what if you offered the vegetarian meal with respect and sincerity? For example, all the food, plates, bowls, and other utensils used for the offering are very clean. Then all the benefits gained from the offering, the deceased will receive 1/7 of the merits and virtues. Therefore, elder, if after the deaths of parents, relatives, and retinues, sentient beings can make vegetarian meal offerings on their behalf with sincerity, and then both the living and the deceased will benefit. See, there are multiple benefits. When the Earth Store Bodhisattva spoke these words, countless ghosts and deities in the Tridya streams of heaven have realized immeasurable bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is a heart of great compassion and benefiting all sentient beings. Great eloquence elder paid respect to Earth Store Bodhisattva and returned to his seat. This is the completion of chapter 7. Master, at the beginning of this chapter, Earth Store Bodhisattva said, the mental stirrings and thoughts of sentient beings are almost always wrongdoings. Could you please explain this to us? It doesn't mean that your every thought is wrong and evil. It's about when you're making a decision or making judgments. It refers to the time when you're using your mind to make a decision. For example, when a huge fortune is coming, it could be a great opportunity to do some really bad things, like a chance to deceive others. It could also be a great opportunity to do some good things, like a chance to help others. It's like standing at a crossroad in life. As I mentioned, you must make decisions when those opportunities come, and you will use your consciousness to make the judgment. That's a moment. So it doesn't mean that all your thoughts are evil. Am I evil for taking a walk on the street? Taking a walk is neither right nor wrong. When there is a good opportunity for you to gain a huge profit, what you're thinking is particularly important. When such an opportunity comes, your mind will be tested. The ordinary people who don't practice Buddha Dharma, or the practitioners who haven't achieved enlightenment, they will all have evil thoughts. Why is it evil? Because they have selfish desires. They may say, Master, please help me, stop my stock from falling again. Or Master, please help me to sell more products. Salespeople need to make sales performance. The more they sell, the more they earn. They keep selling you stuff even you don't need it. So you may waste a lot of money. That thought is evil and selfish. Remember, when you fulfill your selfish desires, you might harm others. For example, in the stock market, you bought one stock with a price of $1 but sold it for $15. Usually people think it's an explosive fortune. But in this way, although you made a fortune, say that you bought one stock with the price of $1 but sold it for $2. When the stock price drops to $1, the person who bought it from you lost money. One person is happy while the other is crying. Here's another example of jealousy. Sometimes you don't want to be angry, but you're jealous of your neighbor who lives much better than you. Another example, two siblings may compare with each other. His car is better than mine, about $1,000 more expensive. Your wife starts to compare and think, we must buy another car that is $5,000 more expensive than his. Otherwise, you lose sleep. You might not be angry, but you just can't fall asleep. What's happening? You want to sleep, but you can't. But some people have a big heart. They're less jealous, they can fall asleep easily. So remember, in most cases, when people satisfy their own desires, other people are hurting. After Master's explanation, some friends may ask, sometimes that evil thought will arise suddenly. Since we didn't put it into action and didn't hurt others, does it still count as an evil thought? For example, if you put your evil thought into action, you'll receive 10,000 units of evil karma. But if you didn't do it, you will only receive 1 unit of evil karma. But how to eliminate this 1 unit of evil karma? By repentance. You confess that you had this evil thought and regretted it. You should think of the good sides of the other and try to be nice to them and make it up to them because you had evil thoughts about them. But don't tell them of your thought of killing them. Just practice some kind deeds to make up for your bad thoughts. This way, your evil karma will be neutralized. This chapter also teaches us to avoid bad friends. You may just do little kind deeds. You haven't accumulated a lot of merits yet. If a bad friend abets you to do something wrong, you might follow their example. Master, how can we avoid bad friends? And also, if it happens, how can we get out of the situation and stay away from these bad friends? I think first, you should be careful when you're making friends. In fact, it includes your brothers and sisters or your other relatives. Because you may not know what their true desires are, what are their inclinations or pursuits. You may know or you may not know. So this includes your friends and relatives, especially those friends who are not your relatives. You must make judgments very carefully when making friends with them. Many people do evil things because they have been fooled by these so-called friends. You might lose your family or everything you have and your life. In Hong Kong movies, bad friends are also called sucky friends. It refers to a friend who is lousy and is like a jerk. These lousy friends are like hungry wolves. Many people have bad results because of such bad friends. They may get into some bad wrongdoings, such as stealing, drug addiction, prostitution, and corruption. They do these bad deeds due to the influence of bad friends. The bad friend might say, it's okay, just try it, don't be so serious. You're young and this is cool. Just try to smoke it, it's not a real drug. Take gambling, for example. You may start out playing cards with your friends and the winner gets peanuts. Is it not gambling? When you refuse to play with your friends, they may think you're stubborn and isolate you. Then you don't have any friends, because they think you're hard to deal with. They force you to play with them in this way. Otherwise, you're not a friend anymore, and you fall for it. There are many traps and tricks. Young people who are weak-minded will be trapped. So they'll do what they normally wouldn't do. and suffer from the consequences. I know two brothers. The big brother made his little brother bankrupt. The little brother would have had millions of money, but it was gone within a year. The big brother was rich. He got his money from smuggling. Finally, he made himself and his little brother bankrupt. His bad idea ruined his family. Yes, the money we have compared to the richest man in the world is nothing. So your friend may say, the deposit rate in the bank is too low for us to put all our money there. Why don't we smuggle? The benefit of smuggling is huge. If we invest $100 million in smuggling, 3 months later, it will become $200 million. Bro, let's do this. You're a fool if you don't do it. The honest business can last forever. He made it sound compelling, right? What about the risks? They might say, oh, sometimes risks stimulate us, and it's not an adventure. Think about the surfers. You can only go surfing when there are big waves. Then think about you're surfing on the top of those waves. Exhilarating, right? Bad friends have many ways to charm you, but the consequence will be devastating or even cost their life. I remember a story when I was a kid in Qinghai, similar to today's topic. A man was called Wang Xiao'er. This is not his real name. There was another man in his village called Li Gui. His real name was Kui with a K, but we call him Gui with a G. G stands for ghost, because he was a bad person. One day, Wang Xiao'er had nothing to do, so he went to a farmer's market in the neighboring village. Many farmers sold produce in the market. The market often changed places. The market could be in this village one day, but another village the other day. Wang Xiao'er went to the farmer's market to buy some vegetable. When he arrived in the neighboring village, he ran into Li Gui from his village. Li was leading an ox. Li said to Wang, "See, I bought an ox. I need to buy something else. Can you lead this ox into your home and take care of it for me? When I'm done, I'll meet up with you and pick up the ox." Wang agreed. Because they were from the same village, it's common to help your neighbors, right? Even if you might be unwilling to. Because everyone needs help. Wang didn't think too much. It's only 1 kilometer away, so he took the ox home. He even fed the ox and locked the door to stop it from running away. But the police came in the afternoon. Turns out the ox was stolen in the first place. The real owner and the police went to his village to look for the ox, and somebody saw Wang leading the ox into his home. Then the owner confirmed the ox belonged to him, because the ox would follow the owner after being unleashed. The police agreed and arrested Wang immediately. Wang said he was wronged because he didn't steal the ox. Li did it. He told the truth, including how he met Li at the neighboring village. And Li said he bought the ox and said that he will pick it up from me when he came home. Then the policeman went to arrest Li. But Li said, "What are you talking about? I'm enjoying this wonderful market and I didn't steal anything." So he didn't plead guilty, but Wang was sentenced to 2 years in prison. In recent decades, many people travel by air and they often encounter something. For example, I'm flying from Hong Kong to Vancouver. Someone at the transit lounge for Vancouver flight may say, "Hey, are you going back to Vancouver as well?" What a coincidence. I'm holding my kid and there's too much stuff to carry. This is my bag. There's only a few milk bottles with a little milk powder. Can you hold it for me? Some of such people may be women with a poor kid in her arms. Seeing that child, you may help her as an act of compassion. Everyone needs help and it's reasonable. And it's just a bag. But after getting on or off the plane, you're arrested by police because it's full of illegal drugs. You are the scapegoat. And the person who gave you the bag will never admit his crimes. Every country has a strict law for illegal drugs, especially heroin. You face terrible sentences if you smuggle heroin to a certain amount. Many people are sentenced to prison. And in China, you might even be sentenced to death for smuggling a certain amount of heroin. You can't explain everything else because you couldn't find the real criminal. So first, you should have a sense of precaution, and you need to make merits and virtues so you won't meet such bad people. Here's another question. Chapter 7 says that the living relatives should recite Earth Store Sutra loudly so the deceased can hear the words clearly in his fundamental consciousness. Master, please explain what it means to hear something in the fundamental consciousness. Not all people, but for some people, when they are on the verge of dying, what they see, hear, or feel are not the human beings by his bedside. They are actually communicating with their deceased relatives. The dying person can sense those things. We're talking about a person who is dying or has just passed away. Actually, his consciousness is also his primordial soul. This is a Chinese concept. The primordial soul is your original soul of life. So you have to speak to his soul. But why do you have to chant loudly? Because when people are dying in a natural death, they might see the underworld. They not only see and hear things in this world, but also those in the underworld. They may see ghosts and the hell. They may talk to ghosts of their ancestors. The living relatives may say that the dying person will pass soon because he starts to talk nonsense. This is disrespectful because the dying person might be talking to their ancestors. There are also ghosts. And some of the ghosts came to settle a score, to take his life, to punish him, blame him, irritate him, or trick him. Demons may also come too. It's also common that some people may have a flashback of their entire life. It's like playing a documentary film in their head. Finally, a few important life experiences will remain in their consciousness. These experiences will make them angry, moved, or emotional. For example, a deceased goes back to when he was 6 years old. His mother hugged him, and they went begging in a famine. And the dying person will suddenly start crying. But the people in the hospital don't know what's happening. They may say, "Why are you crying? We haven't treated you badly." The dying person sees a different world from what the living see. At such times, he might hear a buzzing sound. It's like there's always a machine operating next to his ears, generating a humming noise. So he couldn't hear anyone talking to him. Or what he hears is a group of ghosts in hell, and they're screaming from torture. It made the dying person scream as well. He may see an intense fire coming to burn him. That's a fire of hell. An evil ghost may stretch out its hand and scare him with bursting fire. It's terrible when because of these unrest, the dying person will not end up in a good place. He's nervous. And who's making him nervous? So that's why many people believe in Buddhism when their lives are about to end. He finally has a face. All he cares about is chanting, so they chant sincerely. We had a friend in Singapore who believed in Buddhism. He knelt in front of his bed when he was dying, and he chanted. He knew he had terminal cancer. His doctor said there was nothing else they can do. The cancer has spread, and he would die soon. Then he asked his family to help him to get out of bed. His family helped him to kneel down and supported him as he tried to chant. In fact, he couldn't say a word, but he chanted using his mind. Finally, he began to smile. His face became blush with brightness. At last, the whole family smelled of sandalwood fragrance in the hospital room. It scared everyone. There were many people of different religions in the hospital. and they all knelt because they were shocked. The fragrance was whirling for a while, and some people even heard the sound of Dharma bell and the sound of chanting. The deceased person was my disciple. He was deeply moved as he shed tears. Finally, he lay down to rest in peace and passed away. And after his passing, he looked as if he was sleeping in great happiness. His heart, head, and feet were hot. Usually, soon after passing away, the body becomes stiff like a zombie. But since because he was embraced and guided by the Buddha, his body was soft. It means he was not afraid but was very happy. He was not punished or intimidated. He was reborn in peace. So his family spent his money on doing many kind deeds at the local temple. His whole family started to believe in Buddhism after witnessing his passing. An online friend asked, sometimes when people are dying, they may see their relatives come to pick them up, but it might actually be an evil ghost in disguise. How can we distinguish them? How could we know if they're real relatives or ghosts? Based on what I know, the great ghosts will not change their image when they come to pick you up. They keep their ghost form to take you away. I know because I fought against a ghost king once. The ghost king doesn't come to snatch ordinary people. Usually it's a subordinate, such as black and white ghost. Once a ghost king came to take a person away, but didn't want that person to be taken. So I know what these ghosts look like. Some ghosts may disguise or change their images. The person who is dying doesn't have energy to fight, so he must leave this world. The ghost will pick you up and you will leave with them. You don't have any energy to fight them. If the king of hell has marked you for death at a certain time, no one can retain your life past that time. The ghosts who come to pick you up cannot delay the time of death. Otherwise, the ghost will be punished. That's why the ghosts want to do their job as quickly as possible. Sometimes they change their appearance for convenience. For example, you like your dog, they will appear as your dog to pick you up. You are more willing to follow them because you see your dog, but in fact, you're going to hell with them. If you like your brother better, the ghost could disguise as your brother or your other relatives to lure you away. Those ghosts deceive you so that they can do their job easily. You will follow them into hell, and when you realize it, it's too late. Then they don't have to drag you away in shackles. You will be willing to go with them. But there's a way to avoid falling into their traps. That's chanting and accumulating merits and virtues. For example, a dying person is waiting to see his son for the last time, and he still needs 2 days or a week. It has happened before. We have accompanied dying people to wait for their relative. The longest time for us was half a month. In the past, international travel wasn't easy. Many people have to take several connecting flights before arriving at their destination. My friend wanted to see his son for the last time, so he waited for over half a month. When the ghost came to pick him up, he didn't want to go. But the ghost wanted him to die immediately. So I lived in that village at that time. I helped him by talking to the king of hell. I said, please give him a few more days. Just a few days. I know this man will die soon, but he doesn't have any great merits. But all he wants is to see his son. Half a month later, he died in the night when he saw his son. When he saw his son, he took his last breath. His heart stopped and his eyes closed. He passed away satisfied. If the deceased has many unsatisfied needs, if he has regrets, his eyes will not close. He hates for his short life, and he has many regrets, so he dies with his eyes open. If the elder in your family dies with open eyes, remember to do good deeds for him. And you need to know why he dies. Why doesn't he die in peace? Please do kind deeds and don't do evil again. Otherwise, your past ancestors may take you away before your time's up. They may put you on trial in hell. you should have lived until 88 but died at the age of 58. It could happen. Because of the deceased requested, the king of hell may send some ghosts to pick you up earlier, so please do more good deeds. In fact, when a person is dying, his consciousness is very weak, and he can't see, hear, or think. His consciousness is like wrapped up. He is like a phone without a battery. He can't send messages. So how can he make judgment at this time? He can't do that. He relies entirely on his merits and virtues, or the merits and virtues that his family has done for him. It works at this moment. So that's why we offer light in front of the Buddha. When the light is lit up, the consciousness of the deceased wakes up. He can recognize directions such as where is Buddha and where is the ghost. It's all clear to him. But I don't think his choice is important because he has to be judged by the king of hell. The result of this judgment is very important because it decides where you will be reborn. So it doesn't matter if you see a ghost or someone you liked when you're dying. It doesn't matter because when they take you away, they cannot determine where you will be reborn. You have to die first, and then you line up for your judgment. So this chapter says in the first 49 days, the living should do kind deeds for the deceased, and doing kind deeds change the verdict of his deliberation. Yes, do kind deeds for the deceased, such as making offerings and accumulating merits. There are many kind deeds you can do, like offering the deceased favorite things, to build temples and sculpt Buddha statues. Speaking of this, sometimes, here's something you don't know. For example, a father just died, and his children are fighting with each other. That's terrible, because even the king of hell will be angry with you. When the king of hell is angry, will you have good fortune? Many living relatives fight in the mourning hall. They fight for inheritance. Someone may think that it's unfair for him to get little money. He wants more because he cared for the deceased before he died. Everyone wants more money, so they fight with each other. Fighting after death is very ominous. First of all, it's easy to let the deceased go to hell because you don't care about making merits. You only fight for the inheritance. At this time, whoever fights will have bad consequences. Those who fight are not good people. They're ghosts. Even real ghosts will be disgusted by your behavior and you will become unfortunate. Why, when some people are dying, they choose to spend their assets and favorite items on accumulating merits? Because on the crossroad of going to hell or heaven, is money still important? Which one is more important? Do you want to be reborn in hell or heaven, or have money? Tell me your answer. Heaven. Because if you fall into hell, especially the hell of incessant suffering, you must remain there for 10 million aeons. 10 million aeons are 500 times longer than the Earth's lifespan. And you haven't been liberated from hell at that time. So going to hell is horrible. When the time comes, we know wealth is not important. Your future, where will you be reborn, is the most important. So remember to use the deceased's favorite things to accumulate merits for him. Even then, he will only receive 1/7 of the merits and benefits. These benefits can rescue him. But some unfilial children may think, when my father dies, even if he went to hell, it has nothing to do with me. If your father were in hell, where would you be? So these children will have bad consequences. For example, speaking of karmic retributions, they may be deceived by other people in business. They may marry unloyal people and be cheated on. Their friends may deceive them. They may have food poisoning or alcohol poisoning. They can't eat their favorite food, and they can't do anything they want. That's what they will end up with. They don't get anything they desire. Another person asked online, if Buddha and Bodhisattvas embrace the deceased, will he be judged in hell? Buddha is more superior than the king of hell. His existence is beyond the 6 realms of samsara. Imagine the 6 realms as an egg with 6 circles. The Buddha holds the hell, not living inside it. And Buddha won't destroy the egg. Buddha can pick any circle out of it at will. So when Buddha and Bodhisattva guide the deceased will not be judged by the ghost king. When you have enough merits and virtues, whether you see Buddha or Bodhisattva or not, you won't go to a bad place. But yearly, whoever comes to learn Buddhism with me will see Buddha and Bodhisattvas when it's their time to go. As long as you haven't done the heaviest evil karma, if you didn't betray your belief in Buddhism, don't slander and disparage Buddha, Dharma, and me. I'm certain of it. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will guide you to the western world of ultimate bliss or the eastern pure land of lapis lazuli. In our future classes, I'll tell you about the eastern pure land and the many secret things that you don't know about it. In general, anyone who can go to the eastern pure land can go to any Buddha land. And he can use his mind to go there and arrives in an instant. Noble people will get there. Master, there's an interesting question online. This person asked, if the underworld also develops technology similar to our society, he dreamed of his uncle being kidnapped by someone before his uncle died. His uncle was in the ICU a week before his death. His uncle said the person who kidnapped him came in a Nissan vehicle. Is it an illusion? Yes, it's an illusion. It doesn't mean that the hell is modernized. Hell doesn't have to develop weapons or tools. When his uncle is in a state of unconsciousness, he will see illusions. The illusions are based on what they are familiar with in real life. Say that you have a deceased relative. Your father wore a suit when he passed away. Then maybe you see him in a modern fashion shirt in your dreams. You may question if this shirt is also fashionable in the underworld. It's your feeling, it's an illusion. Ghosts and spirits don't have a definitive or absolute form. When ghosts comes to see you, we may see them wearing different clothing. They change clothes for different people? No, they want to send messages to you by wearing different clothing. These messages are also shown in his expressions, hairstyle, what they said, and what their clothing style and colors are. They convey the information in these ways. They don't entirely rely on words. That's what I mean. If they appear joyful, that means your past relative lived in peace on their side. Speaking of this, we have another question online. In his dream, his deceased relative was living a normal life. What does it mean? Another practitioner said he dreamed of his deceased mother. His mother was moving to a bigger palace. What does this mean? These dreams are similar, yet conveys different information. The mother said she was moving to a palace. Do regular people live in palaces, divine beings and deities? Because of the merits accumulated by her living relatives, his mother went to heaven. Congratulations! So when you dream of the deceased person living a normal life as they do when they were alive, you should make careful observations, recall the details. Some dreams may not carry a special message. Because we live with that person for many years, he's sending you a message and telling you that everything is normal. Usually this happens when the deceased has reborn as a human being. That's why you dreamed of a scene of daily life. But when he wasn't reborn and has been judged, and all you see is miserable scenes, that means he needs help. First, he could be waiting for judgment. Secondly, he may be waiting for you to do some good deeds. Thirdly, he might be suffering in hell. If you see these miserable scenes, be careful. Different scenes convey different information. Here's another question. Master, I'd like to know that in a family with many siblings, would the deceased parents only receive merits when all the brothers and sisters do merits together? Every sibling can do it on their own. What if there's an unfilial child in the family? Say that if it doesn't matter whether everyone do good deeds together, the filial one will receive the merit, 1/6/7 of the merit. The unfilial child will not receive any merits, and they will fall into the hell when they die. Whoever makes the merit will receive the merit. Here's another sharing. He said he dreamed of his deceased uncle several times. His uncle had long hair and lying in bed with flies flying around him. After offering several lights, he never dreamed of this again. You saw a man with long hair, with messy hair, who lay on the bed terribly, and flies were circling. That means he was suffering in hell. Maybe he was in the hell of excrements. He's lucky that you did good deeds for him. After you accumulated some merits and virtues, the scene disappeared. Sometimes you might even see a happy scene. It's really different. Many people don't believe it, but try it. You will believe it, what I say. Hello, Master. I dreamed of my dead mother who died away in my dream again. What does it mean? That's rebirth. She was your relative when she was alive. After she died, she became a ghost. When a ghost dies, he becomes a human again. So she became another person. It's a good thing. If a living relative dies in your dream, it means that relative will live a long life. Here's another question. My grandfather passed away. Then he told me in a dream that he lived in a 2-bedroom house, but one bedroom is fully occupied, so he can only move in the second bedroom. Besides, he was short of umbrellas and fruits, and he missed us very much. I had this dream not long after he died. Is it necessary to do more deeds for my grandpa? You need to make merits and virtues. When your dream includes precise, specific needs, your past relatives need help. It's not food, but the merits, because he might face the punishment of drinking molten copper or steel. He needs merit soon. Here's another question. He dreamed of his deceased father wearing a big red robe in the sky. What does it mean? Is it good? What does red mean? Fire? Not necessarily. Red has 2 meanings. What are they? Either fire or blood. So do more good deeds. Another experienced practitioner said she dreamed of her dead father. He took $200 from her purse. He needs money. Burn spirit money quickly to him. Remember to write your dad's name on the spirit money. Write his name on the top of each package, not every bill. Talk to him as you burn the dross money. For example, Dad, here's some money for you. These few dreams are not auspicious, so you must do good deeds. My father died this year because I practiced with you, Master. I've done good deeds and chanted for him. But my brother doesn't believe this, so he doesn't do what I do. I always dream of my father smiling, but he was very miserable in my brother's dream. And he kept telling him that he needed money. Master, what does it mean? That means that your father is very dissatisfied with your brother. When a late parent is unsatisfied, he clearly knows whose fault it is. And it's your brother, obviously. If your brother doesn't do good deeds to respond, he will be in trouble in the future. It will be terrible. So this father has a different attitude toward his children. He is satisfied with one child, but not the other. I explain this sutra so everyone can understand the truth. Otherwise, you always experience unfortunate events. Some online people wrote to me saying, my job is not good. I married the wrong person. Why is it? You have to do what I have taught you. Use every effort to do good deeds. Don't make vulgar judgment to do the nastiest things. Otherwise, you can't be liberated and you will get nowhere. You should do more good deeds. You can only have fortune and wealth when you have merits, virtues, and auspiciousness, especially be filial to your parents. This is a foundation of wealth and fortune. After your parents pass away, if they're angry at you, even if they didn't curse you, you will tend to have accidents. Please remember. An online friend shared his experience. Previously, he started to learn the Earth Store Sutra when his grandma passed away. He recited the sutra 7 times to his late grandma, and then he dreamed of a scene in which his grandma was rising up. His grandma had 2 pigtails and looked like an 18-year-old girl. In fact, he had never seen his grandma at this age, but he knew that this was his grandma. And his grandma said to him, her evil karma was reduced. Then he woke up. He saw his grandma must have received the merits from reciting the Earth Store Sutra. His grandma has made it very clear that her evil karma was reduced. Her burden was lightened, so she rose up. But we don't know where she was going. So continue to do good deeds to help her. Where self-cultivation, merits, and virtues are helpful to your relatives. The sutra says if you chant Earth Store Bodhisattva's name, self-cultivate, and make offerings, you will gain benefits. Some people love to argue. They might say there's a flood in a city, so there's no good person there. No, it's due to the collective karma of all the sentient beings there. It happens when there are tremendous collective karma. It's like your savings and debt. When the gap between them is too big, disasters will still come. But those blessed persons will not suffer from such disasters. They will be scared, but they will be safe. The blessed people will be pushed to sit on trees or on top of houses by the flood. Some people with a lot of merits had accidentally fell into the Yellow River, but they were saved by a turtle. Sounds incredible, right? Most people who fall into the deep river will die because the water is too cold and their legs could be entangled by underwater weeds. Some people will be saved after falling into deep wells or rivers. There will be some divine creatures like fish or turtles to save them. It's true. It just happens rarely because few people have this blessing. If you have such a good fortune, there must be someone to save you, whether it's a divine fish, turtle, or deities. You won't die. You still have to do positive things. So what's merit? Something that contains positive energy. People with merits will not face the fire of hell. Even when the hellfire burns right in front of them, they'll feel it's a cool breeze, not to mention Earth Store Bodhisattva. In fact, I spend a lot of time in southern China. In summer, many locals use a hand fan, but I still wore a lot while teaching. So many lights were aimed at me, but it wasn't hot for me. I came to Guangzhou after August 3rd. I still slept under a duvet. Maybe because I have a strong sense of responsibility, so I didn't feel hot. But the locals said it was too hot for them. They couldn't sleep because of it. Many Cantonese will grab some late-night snack, right? They're skinny because it's too hot at night, so they take walks outside. After listening Master's lecture on this chapter today, I'm really moved. Now I can really understand the last sentence in this chapter. It says, countless ghosts and deities in the Trizya streams of heaven have realized immeasurable bodhicitta. I feel I understand it now, and I aspire for Bodhi heart too. We should spread what Earth Store Bodhisattva said to more people, including the truth, what to do, and his vows, so everyone can understand these principles and they won't go to hell. You understood it very well. I hope everyone who attended our class today can awaken their inner Buddha. Many people ask, what is bodhicitta? It's a heart to benefit all sentient beings. It's a heart to benefit everyone. A heart of benefiting oneself is selfish, which is the heart of ordinary human beings. The heart of benefiting everyone is the heart of bodhisattvas. That's a bodhi heart. Yes. So I hope everyone here today can awaken a compassionate heart to benefit all sentient beings. awaken a heart of great compassion and loving kindness, a heart of sincere reverence to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, then we can liberate from suffering and attain happiness. I wish you auspiciousness and happiness, boundless dharma bliss, full of wisdom and longevity. See you next time.
小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不忧忧无虑。因为有了你，日子不再有哭泣，不再有恐惧。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。自由如彩虹般美丽。 我与您相遇，小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，